Hi, Shanti. Thank you for accepting this invitation to
Mm.
share your experience at the Awareness Intensive Retreat. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And what was that called you to the process? What made you say yes for the first time? Um, what was your journey towards
Mm.
the retreat? Mm-hmm.
Mm. It's been a long time, so I have to actually try to remember what was the call. The first time was probably, I think, 18 years ago in Pachamama. So I was there, I think it was maybe the second time I was there, and I was doing the silent retreat at the time. So 10 days of silence, but it starts with the who is in. So I have a feeling I didn't really even know what I was getting myself into. It was just like I'm in for whatever it is that's going to be a deep journey towards. I knew it was about presence and awareness, but I think that was pretty much it. Um, So yeah, that was a call to just dive deeply, and that was pretty much all I knew. And when I did it at that time, it was so profound that every time that I went back to Pachamama, like over the next many years, I was always waiting for another chance to do it, but it never happened because I was with kids, I had family. I never had the chance, and then 17 years later was the next time that I had the opportunity to, and I was in the middle of like really deep life transformative moment, and I woke up in the middle of the night and booked my ticket to do the silent retreat, which included at the time what I knew was the who is in, and was going for that because I felt it was absolutely what I needed to do at that time. Um, so yeah, I think the first time was really just a vague curiosity and a kind of a recognition, just the name itself speaks a lot. And I think people who can recognize that are already curious. And it's like a doorway in. So that was the doorway, was just the name and the idea. And then to come back was really because I remembered that there was something there that was really deep and and helpful also. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, or I need to, I can continue, but I'm sure there's going to be more.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that there was this that you find support,
Mm.
not just in the process, but what it gave you.
Mm.
So could you speak a little bit more about what was the journey? Like, how did it unfold this support during the retreat, or how did this deep willing to inquire on who is in? How did it evolve during the retreat?
Mm. I feel like there's that question, it's like I would have a different answer depending on which retreat I did. The first one is so different from the second one because also there was the first, and then there was a gap of lifetimes, of 17 years. Coming back to it was the second time, was it was just completely different context. So the process was different, but and then in the next times, as sitting with you supporting, it's like every time it's different, but and so I would say after the first time, it's like you're not, I wasn't, so much in the question, the koan, like all of the things that come up around that, and what is this question? What am I doing here? And all of those, the confusion. It was really like after the first time for me, it was like just dropping into being in the seat of a witness and coming in, really direct reflection and meeting with my inner being and my process, my observation, and just really coming very close to, it's like um the gap between what you're thinking and who you think all of that, and what is really there is closing each time. And so um yeah, that I would say is kind of the process of what happens if I take, the first time and then the second time, and then, but within that first journey, because that was probably the most um revelatory in a way, because it was all new. It was really this process of, because it was so clear, because in the beginning it was so unclear, and so much in the emotional body, so much in the, I am my emotions. I'm not, there's no distinction between, um, yeah, there's no distinction. It was just feeling. And through the process of that who is in, and the inquiry, and also the intensity of it and the relentlessness of it, and also many mirrors, some equally confused, some who really had been sitting many many times, so you're kind of like, what do they know that I don't know, this idea. But over that process, over those 3 days, it was so clear, the peeling of the layers, and the diving closer and closer into what became such a liberation, such a moment, and not just like a moment, a solitary moment, but like a a, a state of being that was truly expansive, yet also completely contained and simple, because all of the layers that were covering, let's say, that core was peeled away. And and I think that once I mean, we can always touch that in many different ways and many different, rituals and ceremonies and stuff, but to do that through a process of um that engages the mind, actually, because we're watching, and we're in the mind and watching the mind at the same time. So to use that tool to be peeling the layers away is something different than just being, shown something. It's like you're watching the process itself, and that is exactly the part that is um so useful after, because in everyday life, that's what we need to do. We need to be watching the process, not, we're not just always being in that state of, perfect clarity, and that. So the gift that was revealed was both that moment of being in the totality of that simplicity, but also in understanding the process to get to that place. So, yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah. s- You express it so clearly and um,
I'm
yeah,
not sure if I do.
beautifully.
I'm like, I hope that, I don't know if it's been clear. It's just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, very nice. And can you speak about like how did it translated after this
Mm.
clarity that you gained? Because from what I'm hearing, this is what I'm receiving. This clarity, how did it translate it into your life and
Hmm. Well, I feel like anything, it's we all have moments of clarity where we and true understanding where we see it all and we know we understand everything like crystal clear. And then in the everyday, it's really a challenge to just keep that memory alive even. It's not only it's like for sure there's a practice that can keep the um that state of being closer to being like, okay, oh yeah, right there it is. So it's closer. But I think yeah, I think for me it's really in these and I guess I say that all because for sure I feel like um I feel far from existing in that state of total clarity and oneness a lot of the time. Or I have, but over the years, I think at least I'm aware of the process, and I think that every time you become yeah, you just choose to be aware rather than um, anything else. Like for sure there can be feeling and there can be emotion, there can, but just to, even in those moments, to just choose to be aware of oneself in that, and and then over time, and it's like, okay, I'm aware, and now like remember to peel back more layers. And so sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it's just awareness. Like I'm always pretty much aware of what's happening, but sometimes I'll remember to peel back another layer and then another one. And and in those moments I can exist with whatever actually is there. And it doesn't mean that life is necessarily, smooth and beautiful and perfect all the time, but at least there's a capacity to recognize that it's nothing more than yeah, not to create more, not to add more fuel to the fire, just to watch the thing. And yeah, I guess that would be my best attempt to answer that, is just to be able to be with the moment in as much simplicity as possible. And from that, when there's, that capacity, then it can go even further, and then the moments of joy and pure acceptance and trust no matter what comes. So it's like each layer is like a closer to the gift actually of of celebrating existence. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm hearing
yeah.
that it becomes a process. Life becomes the process
Mm-hmm.
of the Huisin,
Yeah,
and
totally.
it's a gives us this, and I can speak for myself as well because it's a tool,
Yeah.
or it's a tool that it's
Mm-hmm.
available
Yeah.
at any time here with us. So
Yeah,
a
exactly. I
really
think
nice
that's it.
unveiling.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, like you said, there's no moment that's not a who is in moment. Once you know, oh, right, like once you have that tool, everything is just who is in, really.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. Sometimes that who is in exchange is extremely, you're just watching all the confusion, or but sometimes it points to something, just so it just gets right to the that diamond. And that's the same. So in real life.
Hmm. Yeah. Would you say that or what changed? Do you notice any changes after, let's say, that first time of
Mm.
of the process? Did something changed radically or not? Um, in your life or the way you experience life?
Mm. It's really difficult to say because there's so many things that come together at the same time, and it's like, and um, I don't know that's, anything changed from night and day, but I think, I have to think about it because again, it's a long time ago that first one, and I try to remember where I was at also. But I think I remember actually there was a moment where I was sitting with somebody who I had emotional charge. There was we had a story. It was intense for me to be able to sit there, and I was afraid to, um, and then when that came, I remember actually now that now that I'm going there, I'm like, oh, it's coming. And I physically in my body, I was shaking. It was so intense. And through this process, it just got to such a space of love, actually, and pure, like, I don't know whether it was just the release of, or confronting this fear, whatever it was, all of those things, it was showing me that it was not nearly as big as my mind had made it into at all. It was just another human being. And it was really, actually, this was extremely profound and super liberating. And, um, and my guess is that that has also, I don't take things too seriously because I know that it's not that serious. It's not, I mean, people and stories and um, even feelings. It's like, yeah, I think it gave a certain, I don't want to say detach because it's not like there, yeah, but something like um, a distance between the emotion and the understanding. Um, And again, I say that like within those 17 years, or 18 now, it's like, no, for sure there's been moments where that's not the case. Where I feel things really deeply and they feel that, real and true and all of that. But ultimately, I know something much, much deeper than that is happening. And these are just layers that need to be moved through. Um, Yeah. Yeah, I think it's if I can't pinpoint the exact thing that might have changed, I know that it did. And it's like I think about also Vipassana, I can't totally remember exactly but I remember that life was not the same after that. And it's the same with the who is in. It's like once you see something and get something and feel it and it's never, you just don't go back. You can't, that door of understanding and awareness has been opened. And even if you don't look in that direction, what's, you kind of, you saw through the veil for a moment. And yeah, it's, I can't seem to find clear examples, but I know that there are many where the practice of who is in is, um, well, to give like a very immediate example, as I was sharing with you earlier, last week was very intense. I'm having like some mother parenting challenges, and they're super. It's intense. Like it brings up a lot, and I watched myself. Um, And now as I think about it, I'm thinking about all these moments that I've lived that are like when when it's really intense, when life is intense and you just want to, you know, it can feel overwhelming. And I felt the who is in coming in, and it's hard to say exactly. It was like it was almost like a it's going to sound hokey, but it's almost like I felt myself like it's like almost becoming, I want to say like an angel, which sounds really weird. Um, but I guess that's the metaphor is like the distance, like my awareness becoming outside of myself in a very yeah, in a very particular way. And I was able to hold the whole thing and like be just in all of that, but I could watch it. And as what in that watching, it was softening. And and when I think about all those moments that that last few years where I felt very, very caught up in the intensity of emotion, I remember distinctly that coming in. And for me, this is the who is in. This is like the not just the practice, but that is the um yeah, the jewel. That is what it's talking, that is what it is for.
Mm.
And um yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
every day, in the everyday, moments, but also in those critical moments. Yeah, it's very powerful and subtle at the same time, very subtle, because it's just like
the
a teeny tiny shift, actually, in perception.
yeah, that's the gift.
Mm-hmm.
The gift that
Mm-hmm.
keeps on giving. That.
Yeah.
Mhm. So you did it again, and why doing it again? If you want to talk about that too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I was thinking about it actually in this last time that we were there, and I was like, I remember when I did it again a few years ago in Pachamama, and all my friends who were there at the time, they're like, "Wow, you're doing it again," because it's it's something, it's not, it's yeah, it's a journey that it's rigorous and it's uncomfortable and yeah, many of those things, but um, it's a practice, and I don't. Maybe it's my personality. I don't sit in meditation every day, but when I do, when I will go to do a meditation, I will meditate, and it will be like, it carries me a long way. For sure, I think it's better if you do it every day. But so somehow I feel like it's like a dusting. It's like a deep cleaning. It's like yeah, these things that we don't. It's not about getting addicted to needing to do these things in order to exist in, it's not this kind of thing. It's more like I know that it sets a tone, and I know that I'm the kind of person that needs to be reminded. So I will make set those reminders up, actually. And there's something about yeah, there's the first time I did it, like I said, it was such a an opening that I was actually longing to do it again, and also to see what is that to do again. Maybe it's not going to be the same. I don't know actually what it's going to be, and I'm curious. And yeah, the first time I did it was the beginning of a relationship. The next time I did it was the end of the relationship. So everything was different, but I'm still the same actually. And so like at the core. And so to kind of find my way to the core in that moment, oh, okay, yeah, it's true. Nothing has changed. And so it's kind of like, yeah, I want to test the it was like an experiment actually to do it again. And I still consider every time I do something again, it's an experiment. I'm not doing it necessarily even sometimes because I even really want to. It's more like I think it would be good. It's more of a feeling. It's and a curiosity. And there's no given that I'll do that again just because I know how amazing it is. And like anything, it's like, okay, I'll feel when it's needed and I'll do it when it's needed at that point. But yeah.
Mm, yeah. That curiosity of like, okay, yeah, this it's almost like um the way back home when there is so
Mm,
many things in that we've gathered along the way, and then it's like this well that we can empty again and
uh-huh.
refresh, that it's always available to us, I believe, but it's a nice space to be to support us to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for all of that, honey, that you just that you just shared. And yeah, I don't know if you would like to add something in regards to the process or to your changes and the change of perspective or not. Mm.
Mm. I feel like yeah, I feel like it's the foundation. It's like I mean there's many things that are foundational and I think it's one of them. And it's silence, it's self-inquiry, it's so anything that's done um on top of that is just uh I feel like you have a solid foundation. And when you do things without that, you're missing something that's foundational, I think. And I don't mean to say that if you haven't done a who is in, you're missing. I don't mean that at all. What I mean is that the the essence of what it offers, which you can receive in other ways too, but just this self-reflection, rigorous, and the self-awareness is is so key. Like we cannot try to do anything without that, obviously. So it's a very effective tool and practice to to bring that if if you have the self-awareness to receive what it is also, because it's also possible to not, and that's okay too. It's the mirror. um yeah, so I would, yeah, I think that would be I would say even the reason why I would, to go back to the other questions, probably the truer answer, which is it's like the foundation work, and I feel like we know when we need to kind of go back and take care of certain things and just dust the surface and just check. It's more like checking in also. Um, but it's yeah, it's so good. It's so I feel like my relations that um are founded on that are different than, when it's, yeah, or that kind of work, let's say. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
there is
would encourage.
something very pure about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Very, very pure. There's nothing to show, nothing to, it's just And actually, yeah, there's more things to say because one of the reasons why I do it again, um, and one of the things that came back really clear as the minute I sat down this last time was it actually it's so touching. Like I find humans who are on the quest of self-awareness in such a honest way that's really like, okay, I'm gonna sit with all of it. Like, show me everything, and not just the pretty stuff. Show me, and I'm willing. And I find that like my heart cracks open when I'm in that space just for that alone, for myself, but also for, to recognize that within myself, but actually to recognize that other people, that we're all doing that. And I feel like it becomes so in those moments when I'm sitting there, to me it's like this is going to save the world. you know because it's a and because if you really go there, you have no space to worry about like the what other people are getting caught up in. Like there's so much work to do just to stay focused on your own, um like really to get in touch with one's own truth and the purity of this, that it just you just have no room to get involved in ideas of right and wrong and drama and all of this stuff that basically is, it just becomes so clear in those moments that this is like the answer almost, or one of them, because it's so, um like you said, the word pure, because it's so honest and it's so genuine to like in to like really one's own integrity. We cannot fake anything in that space. It's right there. You see it all. If you're willing, again, to see it all and to keep like, oh, really? Keep peeling there. And this is what is not happening. This is why there's, you know, things going on, that just because people don't look deep enough within. They don't peel back all those layers. And then ideas about others and all of this come on top of this, and they don't, yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
hello. Right?
Yeah,
No.
there is something very pure in the will to meet oneself in its pure truth. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and also when we really go deeply through all those layers, all those ideas, it's like everyone just discovers the goodness within oneself and within the other, and that's the foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm grateful for, yeah, that this happens, even though it's not sexy work, and not an easy sell, that makes sense. Like,
Hmm.
come sit for 3 days and like all these things. But and um it's not even something you can take for granted that someone will receive. I can never, um I'm never sure, if if it's going to be understood. And even by myself, I say that, it's like, so it's always like a bit of a risk. Like when you want to try, like when I'm sharing it with someone and I'm like, yeah, this is amazing work, but like I can't know if that person will receive it in the same way that I did or that other people do. So it's kind of because it's very yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about this, the center of,
Mm,
yeah, I, one of my teachers says we don't have enlightened vocabulary or an aware vocabulary of to be able
hmm
to express this. But yeah, thank you for sharing all that.
hmm. Yeah, and I don't think we need to have one because it's not something it's not about speaking about it. It's really like, yeah, that's why it's even hard to speak about right now. Like, I probably just sang a lot of words, you know? I know that feeling that I have. I can I know I when I'm there, but now it's like, how do I express and share and remember and but anyway, we try, and
Mm,
it's a bridge.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I can feel you, so thank you so much for this interview. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to participate in that. Thank you for yeah taking that on and recognizing that it's something that would be um yeah valuable for people to know about it from different angles also. Yeah,
Mhm.
the experience within of it.
Well, thank you again, Shanti, and
Thank you, Ran.
yeah, I hope to see you soon then.
Yeah. Next year.
Next year.
Ooh, you disappeared. All right.
Mm. Well, see you soon then. Thank you again.
Okay. Big hug. Mwah.
Mm. Bye.